Tonight on HBO's Boxing After Dark, a look at some of the heavyweight division's rising stars. First, Olympic silver medalist Chris Byrd faces Eliezer Castillo, a Cuban refugee, followed by undefeated Michael Grant taking on Obed Sullivan, and highlights of David Tua against Nate Tubbs from earlier this evening. Midway through a spectacularly beautiful weekend on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, and just a few doors down from the host hotel, Bally's, we're upstairs in the convention center to answer questions about some intriguing young heavyweights, the defensive style of Chris Byrd, the knockout power of 6'7" Michael Grant, and a look at David Tua in another tune-up bout. And with Jennifer Klarman of Philadelphia, the only full-fledged attorney in the round card girls sorority, on hand to watch, we wait to see which heavyweights will lay down the law tonight. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to ringside upstairs in the convention center for this edition of HBO's Boxing After Dark. The two key questions: can Chris Byrd, with his ultra-defensive style, surf his way to a heavyweight title without being hit, and will fans put up with it? The next installment in that just upcoming here. And then later we'll see Michael Grant against a tough defensive grinding opponent named Obed Sullivan. Is Grant, the former football, basketball, and baseball star, learning boxing fast enough to be the major force in the division that many expect him to be? Working with me as always, HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. And Larry, as we get ready to watch first Chris Byrd, then Michael Grant, where do they fit into the pantheon of young heavyweights right now?
First off, Jim, they couldn't be more unalike in terms of their styles, and yet both of them have already become sort of nightmare opponents for most of the heavyweight division. Grant because he's a big man with a big punch, and Byrd because he's a smallish heavyweight who can hardly be punched. Take a look at the young heavyweights out there. There's Kirk Johnson, who is a boxer puncher of some promise, untested. David Tua went off the tracks after being very much on the fast track. And Hasim Rahman, a young, strong, willing young fighter, but as yet still a work in progress. Grant is still regarded as the young fighter with the biggest upside of star potential. What all of that tells us, Jim, is that whatever we see in them now, young heavyweights are like young pitchers or like young racehorses. You never know which one is going to break down when, or which one can go the distance. 2 hours from now, we may have a different picture.
Yeah, case in point, a year ago, Ibeabuchi looked like clearly the best. We haven't seen him since. Right. So let's see what Grant and Byrd can do in his absence. And working with us as always, 175-pound world champion, back on the block thunderously in that pound-for-pound sweepstakes with his one-punch body shot knockout of Virgil Hill, the great Roy Jones. And Roy, Chris Byrd told us yesterday, after winning the Olympic silver medal at 168 pounds, he now thinks maybe it was a mistake to go immediately into the heavyweight division because he might like to be at 175 pounds chasing you for a world title. So did he make a mistake, or will he make a dent as a heavyweight?
Well, I'm not ever going to say it's a mistake for somebody to chase me. It's always good to chase Roy Jones Jr. You're not going to catch me, but it's good to chase me. I think Chris Byrd did the best thing. Number one, who would have ever thought that Roy Jones Jr. would move up to light heavyweight? I started out as a junior middleweight. Then I moved up to the middleweight division and won a title. Then I went on to super middleweight, and you know how the story goes. So who would have ever thought that I would really be in the light heavyweight division? If it weren't for me in the light heavyweight division, there's not much other competition for Chris Byrd. However, I do think that he does have the skills. If he can get the opportunity to fight a heavyweight champion, he can become heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, let's take a look at the reason why heavyweights might be reluctant to fight Byrd. As you look at punch stat numbers that will show you how difficult he is to hit. The heavyweight average for connecting on total punches, 44%. But opponents land 24% against Byrd in his last 3 fights. Only 10% of their jabs and only 27% of their power punches, as opposed to the heavyweight average of 48%. That's the task that faces the relatively unpolished former Cuban amateur star and Cuban refugee with an ultra-colorful story, Eliezer Castillo, as he gets into the ring tonight. Castillo is one of 13 Cuban fighters to defect to the United States, now all members of the group called Team Freedom down in Miami. 9 months ago, he was a 190-pound cruiserweight, but the money is at heavyweight, so he's put on 33 pounds since then. Castillo is that rare opponent at this stage who's willing to fight Chris Byrd. He needs the notoriety and the exposure, so he's not in a position to say, I won't take on a guy whose style might make me look bad. Tail of the tape for Eliecer Castillo and Chris Byrd. And remember that Castillo's put on 33 pounds just in the last 9 months. He outweighs Byrd by 7 pounds. Byrd, of course, weighed 168 just 5 or 6 years ago. They are almost equal in height, the same in age, and just about the same in reach. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Chris Byrd Eliecer Castillo fight is scheduled for 10 rounds, non-title, using the rules of the New Jersey Athletic Control Board. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you, Harold. Now let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bally's Park Place, Atlantic City, where tonight, main events, along with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Present professional boxing for your entertainment. This first bout is also brought to you by Main Events Fight Night. It is sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr. The 3 judges assigned scoring this bout on a 10-point must system are Pierre Benoist, Emil Conforti, and Dan Shannon. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Tony Perez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 10 rounds of boxing between 2 undefeated heavyweight contenders. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white and weighing in at 223 pounds. A perfect professional record. 14 victories, including 10 knockouts. Originally from Cuba, but now living and fighting out of Miami, Florida for Team Freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the undefeated Eliecer Castillo. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black with white, weighing 216 pounds. Also, a perfect professional record. 24 victories without a loss, 14 by knockout. He's ranked among the top in the world in the heavyweight division. Ladies and gentlemen, from Flint, Michigan, the undefeated Chris Byrd.
You've already been giving you instruction. I caution again. I expect a good clean fight. Quiero una pelea limpia. Okay? Expect obey my commands at all times. Obedece mis comandos a todo el tiempo. And protect yourself at all times. Right? Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
Jim, the biggest surprise when he fought Jimmy Thunder last fall on a Boxing After Dark, aside from the fact that he stopped Thunder, was the crowd reaction to him, which was much more positive than any of us could have imagined. So I'm curious to see whether the crowd is really into watching a boxer take on a bigger, stronger guy.
Well, I have to say, I was surprised against Thunder. He wasn't nearly as dull as his billing would have indicated, and I think maybe the crowd was equally as surprised to find that there is some entertainment value in what Chris Byrd does, although, of course, it begins, Roy, with the art of self-defense.
Yeah, but the bigger the boxer is, the stronger the guy is, the better Chris Byrd looks. He's smaller. He seems as though he shouldn't even be in there with some of those guys because they're so much bigger than him. And then he comes out and he beats them. The crowd always loves things like this.
They like the high wire act.
Yes,
they like the fact that he's escaping from danger in every sequence. Byrd acknowledges he's been making more contact, settling down more on his punches recently. He even said, I toyed with the idea of looking bad, maybe going down a time or two to get other people interested in fighting with me. Decided against it, incidentally.
Well, right now I'd be interested to see Castillo start getting interested in fighting him.
Body shot from Castillo as the crowd begins to express its discontent with the slow early action, and now Byrd drives Castillo back with a left-hand shot.
One problem Castillo is going to have is that his head is still. Anytime your head is a still target, it's much easier for your opponent to hit you.
One southpaw heavyweight is an anomaly. Two southpaw heavyweights in the ring together, almost unheard of. And the Cubans, of which Castillo is one, of course, have a reputation for being more aware of how to fight southpaws than other fighters because there are so many in the amateur ranks, and specifically, supposedly, so many in Cuba. Castillo starting to wake up a little bit. Byrd smiles as the wide shot goes by.
The thing to see here is the Cuban in shape to go a long 10-round fight like this? Most of them are used to going to 3-round amateur fights. Can they adapt to this professional style?
And there are questions about how well they're training down in Miami, whether any of them is really going to maximize his potential through the kind of hard work that defines the cream of the crop in American fighting. A guy like you, Roy. Byrd blocking that shot with his right hand. Well, as Chris Byrd goes back to his corner, it's a family affair there, Larry. That's his dad.
Yeah, that's his dad, Joe, a long-time amateur trainer. I'm looking for Mama. Do you see Mama back there?
Right on the left of the screen, right in front of you, Larry.
Yeah, there she is. That's Rose.
So you take him out of position and you can catch him easy.
She was screaming so much from ringside that Joe decided to put her up right on the ring apron.
Remember, you got a southpaw. Yep. You got a southpaw now. You got to fight him just like you. That's you on your right side. So you jab and you did hit him with good jab.
All right, let's go.
Castillo seems to be doing something very interesting, Roy. Rather than come out and wing a lot of punches and look bad missing, he's throwing very few punches and trying to make whatever he does work.
Yeah, but is he doing that because is that his tactic to beat Chris Byrd, or is it because he doesn't want to wear himself out?
No, it's a good question, and we'll find the answer.
If it's a strategic move, it's a very good move. But if it's a condition thing, then he's in trouble.
Although fighting at this pace, Roy, how badly is he going to tire?
Well, Chris Byrd is going to pick it up on him soon. He's just trying to make sure he can see Castillo's shots, make sure he doesn't walk down the pipe into a big shot, because that's the only thing that he's vulnerable for right here, running into a big shot. If he doesn't run into a big shot, he's going to be okay. And he knows that because he is well conditioned, especially for a heavyweight.
Castillo bounced a big shot off of Byrd's shoulder, and Byrd kind of grimaced as if to say, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I want to avoid. Castillo did land 46% of his punches in round one, which is an extremely high connect percentage against Byrd, but he only threw 24 punches. Byrd landing cleanly, as you can see. Doesn't try to do a lot of damage with his shots early in the fight. As his opponent tires, Byrd will settle down a little more and try to put more into those power punches when he lands them. Stepping up to land the left right there.
Double hook. You rarely see that from heavyweights, Roy. Left to the body, left to the head.
Byrd just tapping with the right jab. Castillo launches his own jab.
Castillo just doesn't give the impression that he really wants to even win this fight.
Maybe he thinks he's going to wear Byrd out.
Well, he should know better than that if he did any research on his opponent.
Seems to be concentrating on the body. Maybe trying to build something for the second part of the fight.
He has good hands when he does punch.
Well, of course, whatever Eliecer Castillo faces in the ring, it's nothing compared to what he had to face getting out of Cuba. He and his two brothers leaving Cuba on 3 inner tubes tied together. They went out into shark-infested waters on that raft and stayed there for 5 days before American Coast Guard seamen picked them up and sent them to Guantanamo Bay, where Castillo spent a year before he came here to America. As we go to the corner, our interpreter is another man who's made it out of Cuba in this lifetime, Hector Garcia.
Squat down a little bit. Use your defenses. Use your defenses. Use 3 punches. 3 punches, and you work. Don't separate. Don't keep your distance. Work inside. Don't leave. Don't. Use combinations. Use your combinations.
Watch Byrd here with the left to the body, comes up to the head. Textbook stuff you don't ordinarily see from heavyweights. Although I recall Mike Tyson has used that combination when he was younger and faster and eager.
The advice in Castillo's corner that we didn't hear, according to Hector Garcia, he was told it's time to go to work. So let's see if Castillo can step up the pace a little bit. He threw 24 punches in round number 1. He threw 27 punches in round number 2. Those are very low outputs for a heavyweight.
For any weight.
Yeah, that's true. If they're low for a heavyweight, you know they're low for everybody else, right?
You got a point there, Jim.
I think it was your point, Roy. Castillo trying to bomb overhead with the left. His Byrd actually likes to go against the ropes.
Yeah, because Castillo's punches are so wide that he's leaving himself open after he throws these big shots.
And Byrd will come right back up the middle against him.
Eventually he will. He's still trying to find out the pace. Make sure he doesn't run into anything. I think he'll start countering.
Hand speed from Byrd. Castillo still trying to work the body, occasionally launching a shot upstairs. Castillo is picking up the pace and throwing more punches in this round. And as a result, Byrd throwing more and connecting more as well.
Yeah, but Castillo has good hand speed because most of the heavyweights, as we all know, can't seem to hit Byrd. He hits Byrd just about when he gets ready.
Yep.
Again, good body work by Castillo.
Castillo landed upstairs, landed the body shot beforehand. Another body shot, another body shot. Byrd may have to try to get his work done a little earlier tonight. Castillo taking 4 shots in succession from Byrd and then lands a left hand over the top. You're absolutely right, Roy. Eliecer Castillo finds Byrd easier to hit than any other opponent we've seen. Yeah. He's also willing to hit him low, which is no surprise when you consider in the gym he hit Andrew Galata low over and over.
It may be a mistake for Byrd to fight smallish heavyweights like himself. Where he looks his best is fighting big, slow lugs.
Well, this guy's not the fastest lug we've seen, though.
Byrd flurrying and coming to life in the last 20 seconds of the round. But Eliecer Castillo stepped up the pace. And still to come as you look at what most would consider a likely 10-round decision for Chris Byrd. A potential knockout about to follow. As 6'7", 255-pound Michael Grant goes into the ring.
'Cause every day I see your face, no one you're there for me. 'Cause wherever you apart. You can see right to me. Take me alone.
This is on tape from just a little bit earlier this evening. We're told the song is called Stayed on Jesus by Fred Hammond, sung by Michael Grant, who is himself an ordained lay minister and by his own calculation spends hours a day in prayer. Castillo landing 45% of his punches through the first 3 rounds. That's an unheard of high percentage of connects against the elusive Chris Byrd. And you can see that Harold Letterman gave a round to Castillo. Right, Harold?
Yeah, I did, Jim. I got it 2 rounds to 1. 29-28, Chris Byrd. Jim, I don't know how you can score a fight for a guy that doesn't do anything. And certainly, Eliecer Castillo didn't throw a heck of a lot of punches in round 1 and 2. He came back and slammed Chris Byrd with some real good body shots in the 3rd. So I thought he pulled out the 3rd, the close round.
Could be a little difficult for Chris Byrd, being that he is facing a southpaw too. Southpaws even have a hard time against other southpaws.
Well, nobody's accustomed to facing a southpaw.
Yeah, there was a time in heavyweight history when they wouldn't let a southpaw heavyweight in the building, much less into the ring.
Nobody particularly wanted to fight Michael Moorer for exactly that reason. But Moorer was able to find a George Foreman who would fight him, and other top opponents, Evander Holyfield, twice. A lot more trading going on now in round 4.
Yeah. Well, Castillo's head is so still until Chris Byrd really can't miss it.
Hard right-hand shot to the body and a left landed upstairs for Castillo. Byrd continues to pepper away at the Cuban.
Standing at close quarters and making your opponent miss is almost a lost art in boxing.
Especially for heavyweights.
Yeah.
You expect to see Pernell Whitaker do it. You don't expect to see a heavyweight do it. But Byrd has that capacity to disappear in front of most opponents. He has not disappeared in front of Eliecer Castillo.
Actually, Castillo has disappeared in front of him a few times himself.
Good exchanges.
Be aware, don't turn your back too quick on him now. Don't turn your back too quick. Always keep your eyes on him because he'll hit after the bell. You got to move to your right now. To your right. And you can't be a striker for a while. So see what he can do with that hook.
In a right hand stance? Going towards the right?
Yeah, going to his.
Here we see Castillo going to the body, perhaps trying to construct something for a later round, or just admitting to himself that he can't get to the head, so he might as well go to the body first.
But he's breathing real heavy, Larry.
Chris Byrd threw 91 punches in an ultra-active round 4. Interestingly, Castillo threw only 35 punches, but is given credit in CompuBox figuring for landing 22 of them. That's a 63% connect percentage against Chris Byrd. Unheard of. Still, given the disparity in their activity levels, you have to believe Byrd was the likely winner of the round.
That's the reason he's landed 60%, because most of these shots are big body shots.
Easier to land a body shot than a head shot.
Much easier, especially for a guy as elusive as Chris Byrd.
So Castillo showing a modicum of ring intelligence in there. I mean, that's a good choice, right?
Yeah, it's a very good choice.
Byrd comes in at 24-0 with 14 KOs. Maybe no previous opponent has made Byrd pay quite as much for his style in the early going as has this guy, Eliecer Castillo.
Castillo has a knot coming under his under his left eye that may be a problem for him later on.
Yep, swelling up pretty fast under the left eye.
Is Byrd sitting down more in his punches now and not moving as much as he was a year or two ago, Roy? He looks like he's just right there for you.
Yeah, he's sitting down trying to land power shots now, I think. Guess he's willing to take more chances now, you know, Larry?
Well, if he wants to be a heavyweight, he's going to have to do that.
I think he should dig to Castillo's body a little bit more.
Well, of course, you've already pointed out, though, how still Castillo's head is. And when the opponent's head is still, there's a great temptation to stay there instead of going down to the body.
Yeah, but when you see the guys taking your best headshots, you should move downstairs for a minute to try to wear them down.
And so far, Castillo appears able to take all of Byrd's best headshots.
Castillo escaped the Sharks when he came to America, but he's in with a Barracuda here. Not going to escape him.
You have lost 5 rounds. You have to throw those punches. Use 3 combinations and use those 3 punch combinations. You're standing in front of this guy. These guys using combinations, you have to work. Use those heavy punches of yours. That left hand of yours, you have to use it. 3 and 4 punches. How's everything? Do you feel okay? How do you feel? We're going to 6.
Castillo, straight right hand. But he hasn't been able to put any kind of a dent in Byrd.
Well, interpreter Hector Garcia making it clear that trainer Manuel Elizondo is being totally honest with Eliecer Castillo. Elizondo telling his fighter, you've lost 5 rounds. Well, now the 6th begins.
Well, if a guy comes to the center of the ring breathing as hard as Castillo is, that almost tells you, Jim, to start out in his body. He's getting tired. That's why I said in the last round that Byrd should go to his body more.
Castillo trying to go upstairs, and there you see some of Byrd at his best. Ducking, blocking, slipping, making Castillo miss, and coming back with accurate counter punches.
start trying to make a war out of this. He's not going to outbox Byrd, and that's what he's trying to do, Roy.
Yeah, but he's so nonchalant about it. Until I don't think he's even trying to outbox Byrd. I think he's just satisfied that he's in here.
I think he's just taking a paycheck, huh?
In a sense, I mean, he's trying to knock Byrd out if he gets a chance, but he's showing no effort, Jim.
Right. He's going to need for Byrd to make a big mistake to have that kind of chance.
Yeah, Byrd is not going to make that kind of mistake. That's why he took his time early to figure this guy out, because he knew the guy only wanted to land a big punch. That always works to Byrd's advantage, because he's not noted for his big punch, so he throws more punches.
Yeah, in this round in particular, Castillo has allowed it to become target practice for Byrd and an exhibition of Byrd's defensive and counterpunching skills. More so than in any of the previous 5 frames.
I tell you what, if Byrd landed one good solid body shot, Castillo would be through. His posture is going, his concentration's not there. You just can tell when a guy is tired.
He either didn't hear what his corner had to say to him between rounds, or he doesn't have the stuff to respond to it.
He doesn't have the stuff to respond to it. He's tired.
Target practice in that round, as you saw the connect percentage for Byrd rise to 55%. So by far the best offensive round there for Chris Byrd, who comes from a fighting family. You heard Larry point out earlier that's his father, Joe Byrd, training him. His mother, Rose Byrd, is the chief second in the corner. Earlier this evening, brother Patrick Byrd, 13 wins, 2 losses, coming in at 154 pounds. Fought against a journeyman named Earl Allen, scored a unanimous decision on the undercard here. And so he goes to 14 wins, 2 losses. Sister Tracy Byrd in the black singlet here is, as you can see, a Flint, Michigan policewoman who is likewise unbeaten as a fighter and looking for a possible matchup with the great Lucia Riker, maybe the outstanding talent in the sport of women's boxing. Round 7 begins. Scheduled 10 between Eliezer Castillo in the white trunks, Chris Byrd in the black. And 1 round after having told Eliezer Castillo that he'd lost 5 rounds, now Castillo's cornermen tell him that the fight is even. Maybe they felt as though he wasn't properly motivated when they told him that he was behind, so they thought they'd tell him he's back in the fight. See what happens. Who knows? Castillo averaging 32 thrown punches per round, and he's going to have to throw more than that to do damage to Chris Byrd, or so it would appear.
Chris Byrd is starting to tee off on Castillo a little bit.
Well, when he teed off on Jimmy Thunder, he ultimately chopped him down. See if he can do the same here.
If he continues to tee off, he will ultimately chop Castillo down.
Castillo holds his hands so high, it looks like he's carrying a tray over his head.
There must be bird seed in it because Chris Byrd is pecking away on it.
The third man of Flint.
Byrd landing the right uppercut flush, popped Castillo's head back just a little bit. Byrd slipping those 2 punches. He rolls, he ducks, he turns his head. He steps away. Byrd has every defensive technique available to the heavyweight fighter.
The last heavyweight of Byrd-type skills I can recall who fought for a title is Jimmy Young of Philadelphia, who fought Muhammad Ali, nearly upset him, and then fought George Foreman and did upset him.
I think Byrd punches a little harder than Jimmy Young.
I was just getting ready to say that. And doesn't Byrd punch a tiny bit harder? But yeah, the defensive skills are very much the same, weren't they?
But I sort of think the only way Byrd is going to get a shot at a title is if he fills a couple of suitcases with $100 bills and have him deliver it to those corrupt organizations that name mandatory challengers.
You're prescribing bribery, is that right?
Tribute, we call it.
We know we don't have to bribe you or offer you tribute to stick around and watch Obed Sullivan fight against Michael Grant, a heavyweight fight which will help to illuminate further Grant's potential and his ultimate destiny in the division. 6'7", 255 pounds. Sullivan is more than 230. He will look like a smaller heavyweight in the ring tonight against Grant.
You have to work. You have to work. We have to get this victory. You're losing this fight. Go down, squat. You want to win this fight? You have to work. Let's go to work. This is the only time. We got to go to work. 2 more rounds. 2 more rounds. Come on. 2 more rounds. 9 and 10. Seconds out.
The mathematics in Castillo's corner is not of the highest caliber.
There's some salesmanship going on there.
3 more rounds, actually, if it goes the distance.
Harold, how do you have it scored through 7 as we count them?
Jim, obviously 6-1, 69-64 Chris Byrd, based on his hand speed, all the punches he's landing. Jim, I have 3 comments. Number 1, Jimmy Young beat Muhammad Ali. He got jobbed. Number 2, if you tell a guy that he lost every round and then you tell him that the fight is even, the only thing we can conclude is that he doesn't speak Spanish. And number 3, did you ever see a heavyweight fight, 7 rounds, not 1 clinch? I mean, this is amazing. Hardly any clinches at all.
Atta baby, Harold. Always the unique observation. I don't think I have seen a heavyweight fight with no clinches through 7 rounds. Doesn't displease me all that much.
I wonder what Henry Akawande thinks of this.
He thinks it's some kind of foreign dance going on or something.
Right. Yeah. If you like clinching, next weekend is your weekend.
He may think this is a hockey game.
You can hear Byrd grunting with his punches now as he tries to get a little more starch into them.
And Castillo has nothing in his punches anymore, especially that left hand.
Well, Castillo's legs are stiff. So what he's throwing now are arm punches, and he's big and strong, that's for sure, but not likely to develop the kind of leverage that'll hurt Byrd with those punches.
No, he's not.
Pop, 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 pop.
Castillo gets, I don't know, high marks, but some marks for being willing to fight Byrd, which nobody else around seems to be willing to do, but he's obviously being outclassed here.
Byrd's lively face and eyes give you a running commentary on the fight. He lets you know on those occasions when Castillo's made contact. Gets a sort of surprised look in his eyes. Chris has real technique, doesn't he, Roy?
Yeah, he's a very good technician in the ring. He still has that middleweight style when he's up fighting in the heavyweight division, and it's so beautiful to see. Don't see many heavyweights that go out and execute anymore.
He cannot fight going back. You see that? He tried to stand. He can't go back. You know none of the Cubans can fight going back. So you got to keep him going. You get him going back, keep him going back. He don't throw no punches at all going back, okay? And you got to set out on the series of punches. You don't try to make them, you fish, you think you're going to hit him with all of them. You want one good.
You're making this fight too easy for him. Work, work. The right hand has to work. You have to start first. You have to come out first. 3-4 punches. 3-4 punches. You only started with one punch. You got to go to work. Why are you defending yourself so much?
Seconds out. Okay, let's go.
I know it's the corner's job to motivate the fighter, but you know, I think in this spot we just ought to lay off him, and he's trying his best. It's just not good enough. It's what we call here the shot pheasant syndrome again. Pheasant, when it's shot, will keep on flying for a while, even though it's dead.
Is that true, Roy? I think so.
I make you my pheasant expert here.
I think it's fair to say that.
So a dead pheasant flies.
Oh, yeah.
Never knew that.
Just like a chicken with his head cut off, he'll still run.
Somehow, running seems easier.
He's really taking a terrible pounding, Castillo, and will have to count it as a moral victory to survive at the way this looks now.
You have to give him credit for being tough, though, because he's still hanging in there. Yep. And Chris Byrd has really been hitting him with some very good punches.
Do you still think Byrd would knock him out if he goes to the body more, Roy?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Had he started going to the body about the 4th or the 5th round, he'd have a TKO already.
He would be in the dressing room by now, huh?
Yep. And Chris does touch him to the body every now and then, but not with any true conviction.
Well, as Harold pointed out before, referee Tony Perez has never had an easier fight to work. No clinches, in close quarters. Punches and bunches.
First of two here on HBO's Boxing After Dark. This fight scheduled for 10 rounds. The Grant Sullivan fight that follows is scheduled for 12. The crowd thinks that Castillo should try to do more. He's probably done about all he could.
Everything he could.
This is the last round now.
Yeah, he's going to come out after you, so be careful.
Put your hands down here. He's tired. He's so tired, he just surviving. You ain't getting the good shots in. You ain't getting them in at all. You have to work on them solid shots. You're running off a nice combination, but all of you see, come out.
This is the last round. You're going to have to knock him out. We're not going to win this fight. You have to work. You got to knock him out. You can't stand there. Don't let him start. You get off first. If you don't work this round, we're going to lose it.
Those numbers will tell you that percentages don't mean a whole heck of a lot.
Last round, chicken.
You land the same amount, same percentage, and you throw twice as many punches, you'll win every time.
1/3 as many. Byrd threw 104 punches in that round. Castillo threw 37.
really like to see Byrd against a good heavyweight and see how he deals with someone of a higher caliber.
All right, make the fight. Name one. Who do you want to see him against?
Well, I don't know. Ray Mercer. I mean, Mercer's not going to fight him, but, you know, Ray Mercer can fight. Jab, he's tough. Said promoters wouldn't let these guys into the building in the old days, much less into the arena. You can hear those boos, and that tells you why.
Now we see why.
Were they right?
Yeah. I guess there was a school of thought that a southpaw boxing heavyweight should have been strangled at birth. But Chris Byrd can't fight.
He's way too nice a guy to have been strangled at birth. He's a very technically skilled young fighter. He's a terrific young man, great personality, and lovely family. And
he's thrown a lot of punches tonight.
Absolutely.
You know, he can't hurt anybody, or at least he can't hurt this guy. He stopped Thunder.
I think he can hurt some people, and I actually like to see him fight because it shows that skill level, takes that skill level to another level in heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as all this booing would seem to indicate. I think there's a lot of entertainment value in watching a guy who's as good at what he does as Chris Byrd is.
I do too.
And throwing his pebbles at other fighters' boulders, as he puts it. It takes nerve to know that every time you go in the ring, the other guy's stronger than you.
Counted the feeling I get as a light heavyweight.
Ten rounds complete. Crowd offers their opinion of that version of heavyweight boxing, and we will await the official decision. Castillo's folks on the way into the arena tonight promised a knockout. Wasn't to be. Amiable Chris Byrd, 24-0, waits now to hear if he has secured victory number 25. Castillo still breathing heavily.
No te veas tan cansado, respira profundo. ¿Quieres agua? Un poquito, dame agua.
Final punch stat numbers, total punches. You can see that Byrd landed more than twice as many as Castillo and threw more than twice as many as Castillo. Castillo's connect percentage of 44% is going to be one of the highest, if not the highest so far for an opponent against Chris Byrd, and in fact the CompuBox folks are assuring me it is the highest connect percentage yet in 25 fights against Chris Byrd. But what did it all add up to? In all probability, a resoundingly unanimous decision victory for Byrd. Total jabs, Byrd threw more than twice as many, and well, he threw more than 3 times as many, or exactly 3 times as many, and landed almost 3 times as many. And now to Michael Buffer for the numbers.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Bally's Park Place, Atlantic City, we go to the Budweiser scorecards. All 3 judges, Pierre Benoist, Emil Conforti, and Dan Shannon, scored about the same, 99-91, for the winner by unanimous decision, Chris Byrd.
So yet another oddity for Harold Letterman to note in his encyclopedic boxing mind. All three judges scoring the bout the same way, 99-91. Another victory for Chris Byrd, and one which is not likely to elevate him toward a title shot anytime too soon, just because of what you heard from the crowd and what you saw of his style and how difficult it makes him for other opponents. So let's turn our attention